All right, today I wanted to share a little bit about what I do with crickets and insects, feeder insects in general. There's a lot of thought that goes into the nutrition of your animals and how do they get what they need from a captive environment. And so I thought I would kind of go through my cricket routine, what I do with my animals. I've been doing this for, I've been keeping lizards for 43 years. Kind of dating myself there, but when I was 6 years old, I started keeping animals, started keeping reptiles. And over the course of that time, I got more and more education on what they need in captivity as far as nutrition and all the little micro environments that you create for them. And so I try to do all kinds of things to, especially when it comes to the insects, to make sure that they're getting proper nutrition in the bugs, and then that will translate into what's being put into the lizards. And in particular with captive reptiles in the hobby, a lot of times people, the majority of the diet that they're going to feed their lizards is, it'll just be crickets or superworms or cockroaches, things that they're producing or they're buying commercially. So, and for example, I buy from Gans. I'm part of their, they call it the Great program, where you have to buy 5,000 at a time to get a special price. Gans crickets. This is not an official plug for them. They probably don't even know that I'm talking about them right now. Maybe I should hit them up later for some money on that. But at the end of the day, I love Gans crickets because they have great quality. I like the type of cricket that they use. They use the kind of the stripy banded cricket, which doesn't get the that virus that kind of went through a couple years back. And also, I just get good, clean, healthy animals from them at a really great price. So for my collection, most of the time I have about 100 lizards here, and I'm going through about 5,000 crickets every 2 weeks. So I order 5,000 crickets twice a month. For those of you that are good at math, that's 10,000 crickets a month. That's a lot. So I kind of wanted to show you how I unpack, and the way I set them up is I do it by size. So I usually get 5 sizes. I got my small crickets over here, and by the way, my son behind the camera, Jacob, 15-year-old. Thank you very much. Would you mind walking over here and kind of zoom in on the bin? So this here is the 1/4 inch size, and you can kind of get a feel for how big these are by looking at the egg cart. And then the next size up is 3/8 inch. And then we go to this is kind of small for 1/2 inch, but that's what they call a 1/2 inch. And I'm going to go ahead and open up, just show you how I open the boxes. A lot of people are intimidated, I think, by buying crickets wholesale. If you've never done it before, I think it's a great way to feed your animals. If you can handle having a bunch of crickets, and Jacob, maybe come walk over here. And what I do is I cut the box open. They have this little hole right here on the top. I kind of put my hand through that, and then I catch the egg crates as I drop them and just slide them right in the box. See how I don't squish very many, if any. Give it a little shake, a little tap, a little hard shake. Check in there's a few extras, so there we go, empty. So that's 1,000 crickets dropped into this bucket right here. I always pull out the little extra pieces and go into the next. So that's the next size up. I think that's 5/8. And this is the 3/4. Personally, I never go with the full-size adult crickets because I like to gut load and feed the crickets for about, a couple days before I start feeding them off. And if I go with the full-size adult crickets, they're always they die within 3 or 4 days. Crickets don't have a real long lifespan, so at this size, they'll be good for another 2 weeks. And I can kind of feed them up, pump them up, and feed them to all the big lizards. So obviously, you go with the different sizes here. Sorry, I don't have a microphone on, but hopefully you can hear me through all the banging around. But I go with all these different sizes to take care of all the different lizards, right? So I got baby lizards that are eating the small ones, all the way up to adults that are eating the big ones. And then one thing I've learned that's really important over the years is use organic veggies, or in this case, I use a lot of spring mix. I like to use the organic stuff because I just don't know what's coming in the, if you buy the regular farm raised. I used to buy a lot of romaine lettuce from Costco in a big 5-pack. It's cheap, but if you're losing 20% of your crickets, and I think my cricket order comes out with shipping, I think I'm paying $80 per shipment, so somewhere around there. It's just not worth it to go cheap on the veggies and then lose a bunch of your insects. So, because I've had some where, you know, I practically killed off the entire load of crickets, probably because there was just a small amount of pesticide on the lettuce. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what it seemed to me. That was my best guess. So I always recommend going with organic greens, organic veggies if you got them. And if you've got the yard and you can pick dandelions or chickweed certain times of year, or you want to grow your own vegetables, that's always a great thing to add to the crickets. So I do some of that, but again, be careful. You just don't want to grab greens or something out of the yard that has pesticide on it. That would not be good, because first it'll kill crickets, and secondly it might do some damage to the lizards. The next thing I do is I got this Superfood blend. It's just, this stuff is quinoa flakes, milled flax, chia seeds, hemp seeds, coconut, buckwheat. It's just a bunch of grain basically, kind of an organic grain mix. I grab a handful, throw it on the side, and this is just gut loading medium for the crickets. Keep them nice and clean. And by the way, I don't know if you noticed, when I started with totally clean bins. Right? I always, in between shipments, I always feed them all the way out, clean out the bins, and scrub them with a scrub brush so they're nice and clean, because I don't want to pass any pathogens down to the next batch of crickets. I like to keep them nice and sanitary. So that's a good base mixture for the food, for the insects. And then the other thing I like to do is this Vitamix. This is Green Vibrance. It's like a superfood. It's made for people. It's really fine powder. But it's got so much stuff in it, so much nutrients. Spirulina. I don't even want to start because I'll forget something, but there's like 100 different vegetables. Take a look at the vegetables on that. I mean, that's all the stuff that's in this powder. And the crickets do eat it, and it's small enough that even the baby crickets will eat it. And I've just found that I have good survival rates on the crickets when I use this stuff. And yes, it's expensive. I think this is $80 or something for this little bottle. So, kind of crazy on the price tag, but, and you can go with different brands. There's lots of good superfood products out there. But when you think about what you're doing is you're taking nutrients and putting them in the insects, and that's going directly into your lizards. And so I just want to have the best possible nutrition inside these bugs. And for me, if I'm feeding $1,000 lizards or even a couple $100 lizards, I want to make sure that they have the best nutrition they can get from me. It's my responsibility to put the nutrition in the bugs and pass that along to them. So that's that. Can't really think if there was anything else I wanted to say about feeding crickets. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you. For anyone that doesn't do this already, you don't have to pick crickets out one at a time, right? So when I go to feed the animals, I have a nice little bucket that's kind of plastic like this, about this size. Kind of big. I put it in the corner of the cricket bin. You see that there on the camera? Let me move this stuff out of the way. Put it in the corner. Pick up the egg cart that the crickets are all on. Take a look there. Bang it on the corner. Boom, I got like 100 crickets there. One escapee. And then I take them from this and I dump it into my small feeder cup. I like these tall deli cups, and now I can just go ahead and I'll do my calcium or my vitamins. Shake them up. They're all coated in there, see that? Get the crickets nice and calciumed up. And now I just go around and feed the animals. And I just drop in, you know, a few here, a few there. These guys are getting a few. The gargoyle geckos. Let's walk over this way. These guys will come out and eat because they're a little on the hungry side. And they're kind of used to the tapping. So when I start making that little tapping noise and I'm releasing the crickets into the cages, they know it's dinner time. So they get kind of used to me coming out. You may want to shoot those orange guys for a minute, just let people see them eating and stuff. This girl looks like she's grabbed it. She's interested. And I'm working on my Agurnia wall over here. These are all my Agurnia lizards. It's a spiny-tailed skink from Australia. So, and that's that. That's how you feed them out. So boom, I just fed out about 15 lizards right there. It took me, I don't know, 3 minutes to disperse all those crickets. But when you got this many lizards, you got to do something creative, right, to get the bugs out. So that's it. That's my tips and tricks for feeding your reptiles best of the best. All right.